I think that makes it tough for the team as well.
Well, you could
exactly, yes. Well, we see your two drivers with such a different driving style, and every track where you have round corners have to cool through them. George is doing better. Point break, get out quickly, Monaco, Montreal, and Kimi is doing better. So is that why there's a gap today?
I mean, we're speaking about tiny gaps, but you're right. I mean, Kimi is late on the brakes, fires the car into the corner, and George is more smooth. But I don't think we should generalize in that way, because both are relatively adaptable. But as a recurring theme, yeah, Kimi is more brutal with the car, and George is more smooth.
Does it make it more difficult in the long run to develop the car then, when you have two driving styles completely different?
I think what George did is that in Miami he wasn't quick, and Kimi was, like last year. And then George said, okay, what is he doing on the other side of the garage? And they tuned the car mechanically and electronically more to what Kimi did. And that didn't work. Didn't work for George. And after Monaco, he kind of came back and say, I need to reset. I need to go back what I had at the beginning of the season, and you see the result.
Now we're hearing that Kimi had a few battery issues in the final sector. What more can you tell us?
I think he pushed the button maybe a tiny bit too late, and it didn't have the full deployment. But it was tiny.
Now, I had a lovely chat with George yesterday, or day before, Thursday, and he was saying, look, what it might seem to the rest of the world is that, you know, Kimi's obviously the hot favourite and everyone's supporting him within the team, but actually I'm getting just as much support behind the scenes from Toto. How do you manage two drivers this way? I mean, you've got a bit of experience.
I always try to be super balanced. Alain Prost once told me at the beginning of my time in Mercedes, I asked him what went wrong between Senna and you, and he said that the team was never transparent. We never knew who is the loved child, and I try to do the opposite. Pressure when pressure is necessary, and also the odd, put your finger out of your backside. But then
lovely image.
Lovely image, yeah. And on the other side, also put my arm, all of us put our arm around them when they need the support. And I feel that I'm happy to hear that, because none of them can say we are not giving them equal treatment, equal support, equal love. And I think it's down to everyone that to never make them feel that it's not going in that direction.
But do they require a different approach? You know, everyone responds differently to carrot and stick. Do you have to handle them differently?
They are different personalities, and they handle things differently. And I'm generally very impressed, because when you look at Kimi, Sunday night he wins the Monaco Grand Prix. We go to the gala. What does he do? No, there's no drinking, there's no partying. Next day he's fishing with my 9-year-old all day. Complete relaxation. He doesn't bother about the girlfriend, about nightclubs or beach clubs.
So he's not a real Formula One driver then?
Well, it's the Hunt thing, no, I think he sets the level at the moment. And it's about marginal gains, every marginal gains. And on the other side, George is in a little bit the same situation. He has his girlfriend, and they keep between themselves. And how can I say? It's just they're pushing each other so much that there is no giving up of the tiny margins.
You've got to do what works for you, right?
Yeah, but I have a tough one.
I think Kimi's closer in age to your son than he is to you, in fairness.
Yeah, it's true. 9 to 19 years, it's pretty close here.
Tough question here. The goal is to be world champion, obviously, with either driver. But if you win with Kimi, you rewrite the history books with the youngest driver ever. Does that weigh in the balance a little bit?
Whatever is the outcome, we're happy with that. I mean, if Kimi does it, it's unbelievable. It hasn't been done before. If George does it, it's long deserved. Then Kimi's time is going to come. So we are totally open to that. May the best man win, and we're trying to keep it fair and open and transparent and lovely and pressurizing whatever is needed.
Good luck with that. Good luck.
Nice, happy family.
It is a 10-year anniversary from that infamous crash between two of your drivers in 2016. What kind of race can we expect tomorrow? Hopefully not that kind of drama.
Well, yeah, when Leclerc went out on the exit of that corner, I said, I know that corner. That was when they collided. Now, they're both starting on the clean side of the track. That means we're going to see a slipstream if they both leave. So we're having again a situation, but it's about conditioning them in the right way tomorrow morning, making sure that we are collecting the points, and then it's going to be a tough race.
And a quick word on Lewis and his qualifying performance today. Are you secretly still quite proud of him?
Yeah, my old friend. You know, when people doubted whether I still had the speed, I've always said if he's in the right frame of mind and the car suits him, then he's to be reckoned with. He's to be, you know, you need to count him in, and that's what he did today. If there isn't this tiny mistake at the end, he's a tenth and a half quicker than us.
Any more tough questions from you, sir?
Yeah, the fact that you have a Ferrari in between you and that gap, do you think that an Oslo, well, your start seems to be good now, but could that be an issue in this race? Or the way the track is on tires and tough, you definitely have the advantage anyway?
Yeah, I think it's going to play out in tire degradation, and we've been quite good in the long run yesterday. But it all depends on the start. You know, if Lewis is ahead after the start, that's going to be a tough one for everyone. So I'm really curious to see how that pans out.
And so are we.
If I can put myself already after lap 1, and that is the nicer feeling.
I hope you get some sleep tonight. Thank you very much for your time today. Okay, right, let's head over to the Sky Pad. Karuna's there.
Thank you very much, Natalie. We heard Toto just talking about the last sector there for Lewis Hamilton costing him. So let's take a look and see if we can find where that is. So on the left is George Russell, on the right Lewis Hamilton. The first all-British front row here in Barcelona, by the way, for the 36th time that we've been here. Now, let's take a look first at turn 1. Slight differences in the line here. See, George gets a bit more on that inside curve. Lewis slightly wide there, and that compromises the line. It tightens up the line for turn 2, and that has a knock-on effect for turn 3 as well. So as we come out of this, we'll use some lines on the left-hand side to sneak up to the 100-meter board. And you can see George is slightly ahead, and that came from just that slight difference of the apex of turn 1 having the knock-on effect. Through turns 4 and 5, though, the Ferrari has got better grip. We've heard all season long other teams talking about how good the Ferrari chassis is, how much downforce they've got. Just look at turn 5. Lewis carries a bit more speed, slightly wider line, but the car's front end rotates and allows him to pull some back. So when we just look here at that exit curve, he's now ahead. So from being slightly behind in just those 2 corners, Hamilton and the Ferrari are now ahead. And in fact, as we get through 7, he just carries more speed through the apex, and comes out of it ahead as well. So you get to the top of the hill at turn 9, and I'll just use that curb on the exit. You can see Lewis is quite a bit ahead here of where George Russell is to that line. And this is what Toto was talking about. In the first 2 sectors, it is advantage Lewis Hamilton. But it's at turn 10 where it goes wrong for him. So just looking at the line, Lewis has already deviated away from that. He's turned in at a shallower angle than George Russell. George has chosen to go straighter for longer and then turn in later. And that has worked out well for him, because watch, as Lewis goes in, it's a bit like I was showing earlier with Charles Leclerc turn 4. Turning in earlier sets you off on a different trajectory, and he just has to carry this understeer. So now he's having to wait. George has managed to rotate the car. Lewis has now gone out wider, but going in earlier, he's gone out wider. He's on the dirtier part of the track. Watch his hands there, and he gets a big snap, and that has cost him. So that's A, cost him time through that corner. B, it's cost him tire temperature as well, because he's just been sliding around a bit more. But the Ferrari is still good in that final, the long right-hander at 12. And you can see just using, tell you what, that red curb, he's a smidge ahead. He's still hanging on.
P7 for Norris and Piastri, respectively. Let's hear from both of their drivers now.
Lando, P4 very close to P3. I mean, some people were talking about the McLarens fighting for pole today, but does that
really
represent? Well, they were, but that represents progress, I think, does it not today?
Well, I don't know if it's progress. It's just we're back to where we were pre-Monaco and, well, just pre-Monaco. I think everyone got pretty downbeat after Monaco because it was such a shocker of a weekend. We just returned back to the form we had in Montreal. They qualified P3 there, so, you know. I think we've taken steps forward. We brought some little parts that seem to have helped fractionally, and at the minute fractions of a second can make a difference. So I think we're happy. We took a step forward. We're happy to be back on track. But it's not like the car was beautiful out there. So, you know, we take it as a team. I think it's nice that we could bounce back after a disappointing weekend. But we're still 3.5 tenths off a pole, and that's a big amount. So happy, but not happy enough.
Yeah, I think it was at the last corner when the red flag came out on you. That was annoying. But listen, the race looks like it'll be an attritional one. Keeping the tyres in good shape's a key thing. Can the McLaren do that? Can you fight with George and Lewis ahead and fight for the win?
No. 3.5 tenths off. Around this track, you just need grip, you need a good rear, and this is something we don't have today, so very unlikely.
Thank you. Well, Oscar, how do you assess that ultimately? As a team, you're pretty close, I suppose, to Mercedes. Did you leave anything out there yourself today, did you feel?
I was a bit surprised I lost so much time in the final sector, to be honest. I need to look at where I lost it, because I went into the final sector on a good lap and came out of it not that much quicker than my lap before, so that was a bit of a surprise for me. So yeah, I'll have a look, but it's obviously very, very tight. We don't have the pace to match Mercedes. I think even Ferrari have looked very strong today, and I think that'll bode well for them in the race tomorrow. So let's see what we can do.
How attritional will the Grand Prix be? We're thinking minimum 2 stops, and who can look after the tyres best might be able to have performance at the end.
Yeah, definitely. Tyre life is always an important thing around here, and that's not changed with these cars. So there'll definitely be a fair few pit stops happening tomorrow, I would imagine, and hopefully we can use that to get ourselves a bit further up.
Thank you.
Well, Andrea, talk us through that from McLaren's point of view, if you will. You've been strong, the car's been strong all weekend. Maybe being quickest in qualifying might not get you the best race result, given the tyre degradation that we've seen this weekend, but were you surprised? Did you think maybe you'd be a bit further up?
Well, so far, definitely a more competitive weekend compared to what we had in Monaco. First point, in practice we have shown decent performance, I would say, but we knew that Mercedes, they were sandbagging a little bit. They don't need to use their whole strength in practice. Today in qualifying we saw that we are back in a situation where 4 teams are very close. There's not much, I think, 1/10 of a second between P3 and P7. We've been a bit unlucky with Lando. The first lap in Q3, it was 250 meters before the flag, when it was red flag, and that was a strong lap. And when you know that you have a strong lap on the board, in the second lap you can push a little bit more. So I think there was a possibility to fight for P3, if not the first row today, but that's what it is. Good position for the race tomorrow with Lando, and as you said, at this track with the high tire degradation and the multi-stops, definitely there's not much influence of the starting position. It's more about race pace and tire management.
Which should play into the McLaren's hands, kind on its tyres as it is?
I think this was true until last year. Last year we had invested hugely in the development of the car in this area. I would say this year, frankly, we are still learning a little bit from a tires point of view, and we are still developing the car to make sure that we have the options to put the tires in the right range. So there may be some work still to do, but for what we have seen in practice, we are definitely in the game to do well tomorrow, and that's what we want to do.
We'll see tomorrow. Thank you very much, Andrea.
Thank you very much. Okay, so such fine margins as we've been discussing all weekend, but you can't really escape the truth that they weren't as competitive as they wanted or expected to be.
No, but ultimately, if you look from Antonelli all the way to Piastri, it's 1/10 of a second. So they're in the fight. It's only, you know, Russell and Hamilton who really had incredible laps, and you could them. Both laps were on the edge. There wasn't anything left in the cars, where all the other drivers had a few mistakes here and there, and they could all get that 3rd position.
I mean, Norris has said happy, just not happy enough. I think that sums it up pretty well, doesn't it? How competitive do you think they could be in the race tomorrow, and how decent are they on their tyres?
Well, no one is on the Mercedes level. You can see it today. They can just drive nicely and be quick, and at the same time save their tires. And it seems Russell has a little bit of a calmer drive, so that might help him. We've seen Lewis very aggressive all season, but they struggle a bit with the tire. By driving like that, of course, it hits the rear tire pretty hard. McLaren hasn't been too bad, though, so they might be all right.
Okay, well, someone else who expected more from their day was Charles Leclerc. Crashed into the barriers at turn 4, on the exit of turn 4. This is the second time he's hit the barriers in qualifying for the second consecutive race. Of course, in Monaco as well. Let's hear from a very disappointed Ferrari driver.
Charles, sorry to see you here this time. I hope you're okay. And what do you understand happened at turn 4?
Yeah, I'm okay, thank you. I just feel very much ashamed to be here after a crash like that. What did I do? I released the brakes earlier. I tried to carry speed. I think on the previous lap, I think we were close being the fastest car every corners apart from turn 4. I knew it was a weakness. I knew I had to make everything perfect for that lap. And I tried, but I obviously regret it, and again I feel very much ashamed. I mean, the last 2 races, Canada and Monaco, I was in a very tricky configuration to deal with, and that didn't make it easy, and Monaco ended the way it ended, and that was already very difficult to take and accept, knowing that I could do little with it. But this weekend there was none of that. The car was great, the feeling with the car was amazing, and I didn't deliver, and if anything it's a lot worse than that. I put it into the wall, so there's no excuses. I just feel ashamed. I obviously it's part of our job to be able to come after a session and speak in front of the camera, but when these things happen, and especially after the last few weekends that have been particularly tough to find performance in general, I just feel ashamed. The only positive I can take is that the feeling that I have in the car is back. And for tomorrow, I feel optimistic that we can have a good race. But I need to show that, and yeah, I just need to do the perfect race. Will be the least to have a bit of a forgiving about the mistake about today. But yeah, it's a shame.
Go well tomorrow. Thank you.
Critical as ever there. This is his worst qualifying position.
And he stayed on it. At that point, he just didn't want to give up that lap, but there was a crash waiting to happen. When you get sideways, you're a little bit wide, you back off. You know it, and that's why he's a little bit embarrassed now.
Hopefully he can have a good night's sleep tonight and approach tomorrow with an open mind.
Well, he's always been extremely self-critical,
yeah.
To the point, oftentimes too much. But he's very precise, very direct, and he's not hiding from it.
Yeah, but maybe that's his approach. Maybe that actually helps him process stuff if he could be public about it.
But, you know, if you admit to an error and if you understand an error, then you progress. You learn from it. If you keep blaming something else for your mishaps, you'll just keep on doing them over and over again.
It's true, actually. It takes a strong driver to do just that. Okay, well, his teammate had a great day. P2 for him today, and we can hear from him now. And apparently pretty surprised with his own performance. So the first time he's left the track since during P3 and qualifying. I mean, that's
well, the motorhome is not that far.
That's true. It's just a little scooter ride away.
But sometimes you need,
but mentally, maybe.
Yeah, but you need to get in your own bubble. You need to get away. You just need to, okay, forget about it all. And then the brain does its own work on its own. You just there, you chill. And like you said, the engineer did a good job. They fixed, because there were tiny issues in corners, and it's a tenth here, half a tenth there, and once the car starts working, you don't make these little mistakes, lap time comes.
Yeah, he just does seem in a good place. He seems to be making good decisions as well, and he's got such a wealth of experience. He knows what works for him. He seems very happy. Whenever you see him walking up and down the paddock, he's a different Lewis to last year, there's no doubt.
Oh, definitely. Last year you could tell that he was getting to the track thinking, okay, this will be another bad weekend. The car won't work like I want. My engineer won't understand me. There were a lot of issues last year where he was walking backwards into the paddock, into his car. That's different. Now he's walking, you know, looking strong. You can tell that his mindset is, I'm here to perform. I'm here to maybe not win because the car can, but to get to the front, to beat my teammate, to get good results, and it's working out.
Well, it's great to see someone else who's had it working out for them today, Nico Hülkenberg, because he managed to get his Audi into the top 10. Well, he was, of course, penalised for that contact with Sainz at the end of the Monaco Grand Prix. So he'll be looking to get a strong race in tomorrow. How impressed have you been with him and indeed Audi?
He's really done a good job now, but he's always been good in qualifying since his comeback to F1. And okay, we say it's a new team, but not really. It's the continuation of Sauber. But you know, new powertrain, new people working on the team, and he seems to be very good at making the team move forward and getting better and better, and he's profiting from it.
Yeah, he's certainly a popular driver, isn't he? And that's a key, particularly with the dynamic with the other side of the garage, working well with Bortoleto.
Well, he has a lot of experience, and he's been through so many different kind of teams, and he seems to be getting better with experience. Now, that's not the case for every driver, but he seems to be one of those drivers that somehow keeps learning, keeps getting better, keeps finding new tricks.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, let's hear from the Mercedes drivers now, shall we? George Russell on pole, and his teammate will be starting P3, Kimi Antonelli.
George, really, really well done. Straight, more normal weekend and a pole position for you, but pressure coming in today. So how satisfied are you with that?
I mean, to be honest, more than just the pole position, I just had a big reset going into this weekend, and every lap from the start of FP1 we've been in the top 2 positions, and that is what I was most proud and happy about after such a tough run of results, obviously for various different reasons. Just a big reset, and you never know how it's going to plan out, but just really felt my groove again, really felt comfortable in the car, very similar to how I felt at the start of the year, and then to get the results, yeah, just really grateful for the team and everyone who sort of stood by me in these couple of weeks.
Yeah, so it shows you don't need this big overhaul or big change.
No.
Keep doing what you're doing, basically. What's
you
the
know,
good
it's
stuff?
you know, I've not looked at a single piece of data the whole weekend. You know, I've just driven the car and trusted my instincts, and that was a bit of a risk because you know, these cars are so complicated, and you're always trying to find that next step of improvement. But that's what I've been doing with my team for the last few races. Kimi was performing so well, and I did a bit of a copy paste of what was working for him, and it wasn't working for me. So I was like, I need to trust my own gut here, and something was telling me I needed to go in my own direction, and super glad I have.
What's key to getting the job done on race day?
I think the race start's going to be important. You know, Lewis did an amazing lap today and really surprised all of us at his strong performance. So he's going to be in the fight. But a clean start. But there's going to be a lot of opportunities in the race. So I just want to, honestly, I just want to see the checkered flag and get to the end of the race.
Very, very well done. Thank you. Kimi, you've had a great run recently and a great run of results. George has looked strong here. Have you been kind of trying to chase performance just a little bit this weekend?
Yeah, I think I haven't felt good in the car. I haven't been able to adapt a little bit the driving style to the conditions we had this weekend, because obviously it's a track that doesn't forgive, especially because the tires, they struggle to last. They struggle to last over one lap, and yeah, I haven't been able to extract the maximum out of the tires over the whole lap. I think in the last Q3 I had a really strong lap up until turn 5, and then I just lost lots of time from there on. So I think yeah, that was the thing. I've been overdriving a little bit, and just yeah, this is a weekend where you kind of need to drive slow to go fast, and haven't done that well. So, but I think the race pace is stronger. It's quite a bit stronger. So hopefully tomorrow we'll have kind of the same good feeling, and we can progress.
Good Kimi, George battle, and it could be quite a complicated one with a lot of pit stops and so on.
Yeah, it's going to be a very strategic race. It's going to be important to really manage the tires well, but still maximizing the stint length, and yeah, we'll see. All to play for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Let's pick up on what he said there. Go slow to go fast. That sounds like a contradiction in terms, but just explain what he meant.
That gets said a lot. It means don't overpush. Drive nice and smooth. Don't go above the 100%. Stay always a little bit below, because, as he said, this track doesn't forgive. A little sideways, you overheat the tires. And his driving style is very aggressive. We've seen it from last year. And on this kind of track, this kind of temperatures, tires that are on the edge, his driving style doesn't work. They're so different, those two drivers, that it's super interesting. And by being so different, they both managed to win races with that car.
That's so true, isn't it? The Russell reset is real. Fascinating to hear that he hasn't looked at any data and he's relied entirely on instinct.
Very old-fashioned.
Well, I mean, you love to hear it, right?
Oh, yeah, that was a nice bit to hear from him, because he did a mistake that happens a lot. You know, your teammate is quicker in that one race, and then you just try to do everything he does, but you can't. You're a different driver. Your brain works differently. When you drive naturally, you cannot be thinking. So when you try to drive like someone else, you won't be quick anyway. It won't be second nature, and it just doesn't work, and he's shown it. Some tracks, your teammate will simply be quicker than you year after year after year. That track suits him better. Just forget about it. Try to maximize that weekend.
And I guess just as you shouldn't overdrive, you shouldn't overthink either.
Oh yeah, that's the worst. When you start overthinking, first of all, you don't sleep, so you're tired. But yeah, when you overthink, you invent problems that don't exist, or solutions for problems that don't exist, and you get completely lost. And that's why you need to, like Lewis did, reset.
Yeah, well, the reset has also worked for Lewis Hamilton. Let's hear from him again now.
Lewis, really well done, I think. I mean, closest to a Grand Prix pole you've been with Ferrari, only 700ths off the Mercedes. I know you're a perfectionist, but do you have to count that a good day at the office?
Definitely. I mean, I really surprised myself. I really wasn't expecting to be fighting for the front row. I was trying to explain earlier, I've been trying to explain that normally when you miss P1, you are a bit on the back foot, but not so bad. You can usually recover. This has been the hardest to, like P1, P2, for example. I was 1.1 seconds off, and then I was like, okay, I'll come back in P3. P3, I'm still half a second off of Charles, 7/10 off P1. So I was like, this is not my weekend. But I stepped away from the track in between P3 and qualifying, which I never ever do. I don't think I've ever done that. I was like, I got to get out of here. I went back to my motorhome, came back, and I just recalibrate myself, and I felt Q1, round one, the car felt fantastic. On top of that, it really comes down to also that the team have been working so hard. I'm so thankful to the guys who brought everyone back in the factory. They worked so hard to bring these upgrades. But even with that, we're still behind Mercedes, I'm happy that we're close, but they're still so strong. I mean, geez, even with a good lap, they're still just so. There's a lot of work to do to get ahead of these guys. It's going to take a perfect. It's going to take a perfect job from all of us tomorrow to be able to fight these guys for a win.
Yeah, well, listen, you're knocking on the door for that first Ferrari Grand Prix win. It is a long run to turn one. I mean, we know there'll be tire degradation. Are those the key ways to maybe win this, get that first Ferrari Grand Prix win?
Tire management tomorrow is going to be crucial. It always is here, particularly the track's like 50 degrees. It's crazy because yesterday you're just sliding around the most I've ever felt here. And degradation was double what we anticipated. But I think the car's in a better place. Been able to utilize I hope that tomorrow means that we have less deg, and obviously I'm battling two Mercedes, which will be harder on strategy. It is a long way down to turn one, so I mean we need a good start tomorrow. Of all starts, that's the one you need to get right, so we can the car where it needs to be.
We wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the car's in a good place. He's in a great place, sandwiched between those two Mercedes drivers. Just how significant is that run down to turn one tomorrow?
Oh, super important, because he's been very racy this year. He's been very aggressive. And he knows that the only way to get them is to get them at the start.
I cannot wait for it. Is this wide open, though, given tyre degradation is such a key component to racing tomorrow?
Yes, it is, because it's the first hot race of the year. They haven't had to play with tire deg this year. They didn't matter. They've been pushing every race. This is the first time they'll have to back off a bit. So, they need to remember what they did last year.
So what's your hunch then? Who's going to be the top step of that podium? Come on, Jacques Villeneuve.
Well, I'm still a big favorite. My favorite right now is still Russell, because he's really got it under control. He's driving smoothly. He's not overheating his tires. So if the start goes well, and he has no reason to then not win that race.
Okay, well, he certainly needs it, doesn't he? He needs a big boost. It's been a tough couple of weeks for the Mercedes driver, but it is George Russell